On this channel, I like to talk about time travel. I have videos on time travel in Family Guy and Futurama, which were some of the most fun videos to research. So I thought, why not continue and go over all the different methods of time travel in American Dad? So this is American Dad's Time Travel Explained. So first off, American Dad's time travel falls into the branch reality time travel. If you interfere in the past, it can change the future and cause a branch reality. However, it is possible to fix it and set things right and get back to the same timeline. But American Dad has a multiverse, so the branch reality most likely still exists out there. Also, some of the methods we see fall into categories like unstuck mind and time loop, but we'll get to those when we get to. But the first type of time travel and the most popular within the series, I like to call machine time travel. Basically using technology to travel in time. So in season 7, episode 16, The Kidney Stays in the Picture, Stan and Francine use a CIA time machine, a giant platform with lasers, and they are hooked up to electrodes and covered in jelly to go back in time when Haley needs a new kidney and Francine reveals to Stan that Stan might not be Haley's father, confessing she had a one-night stand with Joel Larson, who is the man portrayed there. So they go back in time to find out his name to get the test done to see if he is a match. So classic overthought out government time machine. But I do like that they didn't go to the future and show us the change. They just call it out and fix it. Also, just this is the episode where Stan actually never finds out if he is actually Haley's dad. He is just Haley's dad. She is his daughter. No questions asked. And Joel donates a kidney to either Haley or somebody else. The CIA actually has another time machine that Stan had to smuggle out in his ass because Bullock actually wants most things small enough to fit inside of a monkey's ass. In season 16, episode 13, Stan and Francine, and Radica. This one works the same way the other time machine does, but this time we actually get to see what happens when someone gets left in the past. When Francine basically ditches Stan when they went to spy on their younger selves to settle an argument. While he is trapped in the past with Radica, their former roommate, the two end up actually getting married and divorced. Stan becomes a ski bum where he meets a past version of Roger. Those two hang out for a couple of years. Stan gets really fat, but he still misses Francine. Though he is dating a girl named Amanda, he ends up just waiting until the day that Francine and young Stan go forwards in time, showing up right after Francine and past Stan return to the future. So essentially, he lives this all out, and then they kill him and then go back in time to stop the entire course of events from happening. The time machine we see in season 11, episode 11, The Unincluded, actually looks a lot like Stewie's time machine in Family Guy, except it looks like it's been modified into a pod and it doesn't have to a return pad. You have to use it to go back in time. But it is used by grown-up Steve and Snot to come back to the past to make sure that their future isn't in trouble because a jock named Mertz stole a future time machine to go to the past and convince the kids to throw a party that would cause a rift between Steve and Snot and make them drift apart and not become successful. His plan actually worked, and when the present versions of Steve and Snot try to fix things, the older versions start changing, with Steve getting progressively more attractive and hot, but Snot going from a bum to a convict to a hooker to a weird turtle thing and ultimately to an actual turtle. Sort of like a Back to the Future callback where Marty starts disappearing in real time, their future selves just start changing in real time. And if I'm being real, I wish I'd found the image. I ended up not, but Steve got kind of the short end of the stick by them working this out because he got way better than what he was ever going to get. Steve actually starts getting future visions from the Doppler radar in season 17, episode 21, basically using a Doppler radar for future visions of the weather to make money, check his grades, and all of the usual stuff. Ultimately, seeing the death of his family and actually not being able to stop it. And I was tempted to not put this here. This is the only example of a machine doing this in the series, but it is very similar to the mind time travel and astral projection that I'm actually showing on the screen now. But I guess we're just going to have to get there. I don't know. I was kind of on the fence about this. But along with machine time travel, we actually have wormhole time travel. And it is exactly what you think it is. The character uses a wormhole to travel forwards and backwards in time. So the first time we see this is in season 5, episode 12, May the Best Stan Win, by Cyborg Stan from the future who came back to steal Francine from past Stan. This wormhole worked one way, at least as far as I can tell, since we actually don't see the Cyborg Stan go back present day Stan just kills him. So he kills his future alternate self. Jeff actually finds a wormhole in season 9, episode 20, The Longest Distance Relationship. This wormhole allowed him to go forwards and backwards in time due to the time dilation effect of traveling at the speed of light. Basically, Jeff went into the wormhole in present day, but came out 60 years later, with only moments passing for him, but 60 years passing for the rest of the family. So he tries to lurk it out that way and just live in that future, but decides that Haley deserves to have her own life, and actually goes back through the same wormhole with the ghost of Sinbad, and it comes back out moments after he tried to go in the first time. So only seconds had actually passed, and he had spent a whole day in that future version. And then Roger with a sunburn travels through a wormhole we actually don't get to see in season 17, episode 13, The Fast and the Spurious, after he becomes sun mad. Stranding and killing the family, again, like with Cyborg Stan, we don't know if he could travel back through the wormhole since we actually never see him. He never gets the chance. Could also potentially have been a similar wormhole situation to Jeff and Sinbad. So I don't know. But the next time travel I want to talk about is actually mind time travel. This is where your consciousness travels in time, but your body doesn't, like the death time travel in Family Guy. But within the series, this works most of the time as windows or visions to the past or the future. So when Stan dies while cutting down the perfect Christmas tree in season 3, episode 8, The Most Adequate Christmas Ever, they actually use what are essentially windows to look into Stan's past. Though since he is out of time, they could just be watching the events when they happen. But later in the episode, after Stan comes to his senses when he is talking to God and finding out that he can go back to Earth, God shoots him in the head, and Stan then comes to his senses outside his house before all the events of the episode start. So this could just be God resetting time to give Stan a chance, or God sending his consciousness back into his younger body, creating a different reality. Take your pick. I think it's more likely the second one, but really it could be anything, and the initial time dilations we see are the windows to the past to look at Stan's life, so that's why it's here. Similar to this is when Stan gets sent back in time by Michelle in season 5, episode 9, Rapture's Delight. Basically, the rapture happens, Stan dies fighting the Antichrist, goes to heaven where he is walked through a doorway to his own personal heaven. This actually sends him back in time to right before the rapture happens, resetting everything. Now, I know what you're going to say, this isn't time travel, it's just his own personal heaven. But having just seen that God essentially do the same thing in season 3, I don't see why it couldn't also be time travel, just branching off into another multiverse where Stan can be happy. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Should this count or not? We find out Roger has a weird window through time ability as well in season 5, episode 21, 300. Basically, at the end of the Golden Turd Saga, and please go watch my full video on that, 20 years have gone by and the whole family is dead. Roger cries on the turd. One of the jewels opens a window through time where he instructs his past self to go hide the turd, thus canceling out all the events of the Golden Turd Saga. And then Steve learns to astral project in season 16, episode 6, The Wonder Cabinet. Basically, Steve starts studying mysticism and throughout the episode ends up actually opening his third eye, removing his mind from his body to have an out-of-body experience. And he starts going through time, forwards and backwards, all over the planet. There is even a little future site here where he sees a room which ends up being his future room, converted by Stan, who is actually still trying to wake him up. For this, we have a direct time loop. I say direct because some of the ones I've already talked about and some of the ones we still haven't gotten to will also result in time loops, but this one is actually just meant to be a time loop. Stan reads a wish on a fortune cookie in season 15, episode 22, Yuletide Repeat, and ends up in a time loop. We don't really learn what starts the loop. I'm chopping it up to Christmas magic, but it gives him a limited number of loops that all last about 5 minutes, and he uses this to ultimately save his family. And then finally, we have what I am dubbing the out-of-time time travel. Basically, your mind and body are transported through time, no machine is necessary, and this results in a time loop, but also a separate reality being formed, so it kind of merges the two together here. The first example of this is in season 2, episode 9, The Best Christmas Story Never, when Stan starts to lose his faith because Christmas is becoming more progressive, blaming the whole thing on Jane Fonda with the logic that when she went to North Vietnam, she revitalized the dying hippie movement, and since yesterday's hippies grew up to be modern liberals, modern liberalism was her fault. That was so hard to say for me for some reason, Real quick though, the things that were ruining it for him were a Christmas tree being banned, which is sort of unreasonable, but then also storefronts not being able to say Merry Christmas, having instead to say Happy Holidays, and the Christmas rapist name being changed to the Holiday Rapist. This aired in 2006, so just some food for thought there, but basically it's the Christmas Carol, but when they go back in time, Stan actually changes the past. And we know it's real time travel because Roger starts this go with a record Stan dropped while time traveling. Then a concierge gives a pamphlet to Steve on how to get himself back in time in season 6, episode 9, Fart Break Hotel. This episode actually uses time travel as a setup, which is actually sort of cool. But basically, the pamphlet teaches him how to time travel through willpower alone. No explanation as to the process, just here's a pamphlet and Steve does it and becomes the girl in a painting he was trying to meet. So you do actually time travel and can change the past. And this is actually doubled down on when Francine uses it to stop herself from abandoning the family later on in the episode. So it's weird that this is never touched upon again and never used again. I mean, good for them for just abandoning the whole time travel thing in general, but like a little bit more of an explanation. But that being said, speaking of Francine, Francine actually starts a whole new universe in season 19, episode 13, the Clearview Motel. She gets stuck out of time when she and Roger start peeping on hotel guests. Turns out this is some sort of mystical god of peeping. It's really weird, but she ends up creating an alternate universe and spying on her family from the vents forever. Also, in this episode, Roger gets stuck in a car on one particular stretch of road and is essentially just stuck in a loop on that road and can't escape it. This episode is weird, but good at the same time. Also, this sort of also falls into the windows through time category since you can look into and change the past through the vents. So, I don't know. But that is it. Every example of time travel in American Dad. And let me know in the comments down below if I missed any methods, if you think I got any of these things wrong, or if you want me to take a deeper dive into the episodes. I would actually really like to just do a deep dive into the Clearview Hotel or Clearview Motel. I think that it's actually a really fun episode. But, you know, just let me know in the comments down below if you guys like to see that. And while you guys are down there, please remember to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, turn on those notification bells so you never miss another video from me, and I will see you guys in the next video.